vision for universal health coverage to advance and prioritize the reproductive, maternal, newborn, and child and adolescent health in government budgeting. She led the communication team of Not Too Young to Run, to Know movement, and other movements in her sphere. So actually, as I introduced to you earlier, today's topic is youth engagement. And actually, we have speakers from and I have currently I would like to start, by engaging our speakers, because basically it's for us to hear from them, or on youth engagement, and also to discuss with you, the audience, on the subject matter. So actually, we are going to move directly to the first segment, of which I'm going to throw the question for the three, speakers, and their own perspective. So actually, speakers, and I would like Sani Muhammad, the first speaker, to respond to the question, and after that, we will hear a response from. Hello, I would like others to please.
Hello?
Please mute their microphone and state the question. So, Sani, hello, Sani, are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us in this discussion, Sani.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right. So we are going to move directly to the question. Sani, why is this topic so important? Because looking at the sphere of youth in Nigeria, this youth participation and enabling tool for national development, a very good topic to discuss. So from your own perspective, why do you think this topic is important as far as Nigerian youth and young people are concerned?
Hi, everyone, and thank you for having me among this marvelous group of people. And thanks to Education as a Vaccine, UNFPA, and all the youth social media advocates for organizing this. My name is Sani Muhammad. The question talks about why should young people be meaningfully engaged, if I can understand that very carefully. So basically, it's why young people, why youth. You see, in Nigeria, we have over 120 million young people. It is a robust population, bustling, who are uniquely positioned, right, to effectively advocate for their issues and to hold government accountable for the delivery of their promises, commitments, policies, programs that affect young people's lives. So I think it is important that young people are now more than ever, or at any other time in history, well positioned to take the opportunity to take action to advocate for gender equality, healthcare, good health and well-being, women's rights, and everything that they put their hearts to. Advocates, and for young people to be meaningfully engaged for the global action, they need to be meaningfully engaged. And it takes time and resources to engage young people meaningfully. We're not saying it is very easy to engage young people. No, it takes time and resources to meaningfully engage young people because there are familiar barriers that exist at every stage. Young people, as I said, are a heterogeneous group. We are not homogeneous. We are different people with different intersectionalities, right? So for us to be able to meaningfully engage young people, we must look through the intersectionality, cutting across their gender identities, what they identify as, for us to be able to engage young people. When you check, young people in Nigeria are doing amazing well, socially, economically, politically, technologically, in trying to keep this country together, in trying to make sure that their issues are put at the fore of government priorities. And in building meaningful engagement, youth engagement, We need to trust and accept young people and bring them at the decision table. We need to put young people at all the levels of continuums of decision making. We need to see young people as equal partners, creating true partnership and opportunities for intergenerational dialogue with young people. Because young people are experts of their lived experiences. We cannot move this country forward when over half of its population are left behind. And over half of its population are young people. Nigeria is just over 200 million, and we have over 120 million youth in this country. So I believe for us to accelerate the call for the global goals and the SDGs by 2030, young people need to be meaningfully engaged. We need to really invest the right resources and use young people meaningfully throughout the continuum of from policy design, program design down to implementation, to make sure young people are taken along, they are given a seat at the table, and such that it can create opportunities for them to grow and to live sustainably, and as well hold our leaders to account. Because young people are now, young people are today, young people are the present. We are not the future. Thank you. Hello, Muhammad.
Hello, Sanka.
Yes, I'm done with my presentation.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sani, for this wonderful, insight.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you.
Oh, all right. Sani, actually, we have heard a lot from you, and I like the way you touched this topic and looking at the whole attributes of youth as being as a heterogeneous group, not a homogeneous group, as the case might be. So actually, this package is so important because youth engagement, requires a lot of ups and downs, and doing it in a heterogeneous way will help us to give each and everybody the right and conducive environment to participate. So actually, without wasting much time, I would like the second responder, our second speaker, who happens to be Fatima, to respond. Fatima, are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you.
All right, thank you, Fatima. What do you see and how do you see this topic? Why is this topic so important?
Okay, thank you. Hello everyone, and happy International Youth Day to you all. I'm so happy to be part of this wonderful program that brought young people together around the nation. It's indeed a development for us all. And I'm happy to see the impacts young people are making every day, the unique potentials we have for connecting with ourselves to solve our problems. This gives hope that we have a better today and tomorrow that belongs to us. So, and young people play a crucial role in the prospect for development and should be included in all national development plans and programs. But the problem is reality shows that attention to youth has not been sufficient, and more needs are to be done considering the practical implications of shifting perceptions of youth and the role they play in the society. This topic discusses the conceptual issues related to the barriers to effective youth participation in national development, such as lack of education, unemployment, extreme poverty, discrimination, political issues, and so on. So, and also this topic enriches current discourse on youth participation and to supplement existing information available about the values and aspirations of young people towards participation in national development. And this topic also talked about solutions to overcome the challenges that are sensitive to national development in social, economic, cultural and political context by identifying best practices and approaches that can work. This includes efforts needed to create mutual understanding between young people and the adults in organizations, schools, in homes, changes in youth development frameworks, and also young people's needs to recognize what they already have to offer, especially recognition of the leadership potential. And this topic also enhance measures to address youth poverty and unemployment for meaningful contributions to national development. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Fatima. Fatima, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, thank you very much for this, contribution. And actually, we have heard what Fatima said, and I'm impressed with the way she shared, her understanding and the way she touched a lot of, aspects. So actually, we have just admitted our third speaker, who happens to be Joyce, and we are going to, pose this question to Joyce for her to respond, and we want to hear from her. So without wasting much of our time, Joyce, are you with me? Hello, Joyce, are you with me? Hello, Joyce? Hello? Okay, I'm trying to let our speaker to join in. Yes. Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Joyce. Thank you so much for joining us, Joyce.
Yes, so happy International Youth Day to everyone. And I'm going to read this quote from Kofi Annan, the former Secretary General of the United Nations. No one is born a good citizen. No nation is born a democracy. Rather, both are processes that continue to evolve over a lifetime. Young people must be included from birth. A society that cuts itself off from its youth server, its lifeline, it is condemned to bleed to death. I think what that quote means is that for a nation to develop, it must include young people. It must include our young people in every stages and every levels of development. So whether at the grassroots level or at the national level or the global level, and also in the stages of policy formulation, programs formulation, interventions around all of the crises humanity faces today, young people must be included. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joyce. Thank you for joining us and sharing such. We thank you very much. Hello?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, I'm able to see your beautiful face, actually. Thank you for joining us. Okay, we have now, come to the end of the first segment of our discussion. And we have heard a lot from our speakers, starting from Sani, Fatima, and Joyce. Thank you very much for sharing these thoughts with us. So without actually wasting much of our time, actually we are going to go through, of which I'm going to, post, some questions directly to the speakers. And now I'm going to start with Sani. Actually, for the audience, I thank you very much for listening. And I hope you'll be, gathering stuffs from what the speakers are saying. And if you have, questions, there is room and opportunity for you to share your questions. And actually now, I'm going to move directly to the second segment, of which I'm going to, post this question directly to Sani. Okay. Sani, are you with me? Hello, Sani, are you with me? Hello, Sani Muhammad, are you with me?
I am with you. I was unmuted, sorry.
All right. Thank you, sir. Sir, well, one of the most important factors hindering the inclusion of young people in Nigeria is limited access to opportunities. And young people are often, marginalized from political sphere, and weak participation and poor awareness of civic rights hinder their ability to fulfill, personal aspiration. So they also pose a threat to inclusive decision making and equity. So Sani, what do you think is meaningful youth engagement in this regard?
Thank you very much, Mohammed. For me, meaningful youth engagement is a participatory process in which young people's ideas, expertise, experiences, perspectives are integrated throughout programmatic, policy, institutional, decision-making structures, so as to best inform outcomes, right? I believe meaningful youth engagement is an inclusive process that is participatory of young people's, as I said, ideas, their expertise, experiences, perspectives throughout a programmatic policy and institutional decision-making continuum and structures, so as to best put young people at heart. The process requires that young people should be involved. When you talk about meaningful youth engagement, it means that young people should be involved at all levels and stages of program, policy, campaign, and initiative development, including all stages of its design, its implementation, and its evaluation. And this is because lots of programs which affect young people need young people's voices. So in especially programs that are youth focused, we need programs that include young people throughout the process and stages of their program and policy design or campaign, and that includes them throughout the period of design, implementation, and evaluation. Because this, especially when it comes to young people's health and well-being, it directly impacts their lives. It directly affects them. And as such, things that directly affect young people should be spearheaded by young people, and young people should be put at the fore of such priorities. I also think that meaningful participation and engagement must be supported by access to accurate and youth-friendly information. Right? We can't have meaningful youth engagement and participation when they are not supported, when access to accurate youth-friendly information is not supported for them to be able to make informed choices and decisions about their lives, about their health, about their well-being, right? So meaningful decision-making mechanism has to be put in place, and fully integrated accountability mechanisms for stakeholders. And this will include the integration of diverse perspectives and populations in decision-making, especially from young people who are most marginalized. So it is very important that we put in accountability, meaningful youth engagement should put in accountability mechanisms that put young people at the fore and can hold partners accountable, right? It is a process whereby, so for me, meaningful youth engagement will mean inclusion, meaning they are included at all stages of program implementation design. As I've initially said, they are taken through the program design phase, taken through the monitoring and evaluation phase, taken through program policies and implementation, and right investment put into the right places for young people to be at the center of their issues, right? Meaningful youth engagement is also about diversity. As I said, young people are a heterogeneous group. We are not homogeneous. We have various needs. We have various identities. And so because of our diversity, we should be able to open up representation that includes every form of identity that young people identify as. Meaningful youth engagement goes beyond tokenism, right? It goes beyond giving young people 2,000 naira to participate in a program, giving them 5,000 naira to participate in a program. It's about making them part of the process, right? Including young people's engagement, especially those from marginalized population, including those people living with disabilities, trans communities, those people living with HIV and AIDS, And all these sex workers, all these young people who are being marginalized and being seen as outcasts in society, for us to really have meaningful youth engagement and be able to come up with programs that address these people's needs, we need to bring them, we need to include them, we need to open up and be as open and diverse as possible. It's also about access, right? So we need young people to be able to access accurate information and training when necessary in order for them to effectively understand and engage the technical components and content of every engagement that they are involved in, whether it's the political engagement, whether it's engaging with policy stakeholders with whom they are engaging with. It is beyond tokenism. It is also about giving young people the access to information and training that allows them to be seen as experts in their own field, right? Meaningful youth engagement is also about shared power. So it's power sharing between and among stakeholders so that young people are partners and leaders rather than beneficiaries. We are tired of being treated as just beneficiaries. We are tired of treated as though our opinions are just things that are unimportant. We are the expert of our lived experiences. As such, we should be treated as equal partners. We should be given a seat on the table. We should be recognized as leaders. And as I said initially, we are the present, right? We are not the future again, because that future, since I was growing up, they've been telling me I am the future, I am the future, and people have refused to hand power. They've refused to meaningfully engage us. So for us to meaningfully engage young people in Nigeria and globally, to be able to achieve the shared goals, the shared values that we have to take our country forward, we need to share this power. We need an intergenerational dialogue with older people to give us a seat at the table and to be taken as equal partners and leaders. We should not just be seen as young people who do not have any experiences. Gone are the days where old people will say what they can see while sitting, we cannot see. What they can see while sitting, we cannot see even if we climb a mountain. That is a lie. We can see. We fashion our future. So as such, we are the leaders of our own experiences, and as such, we should be given a seat at the table. We should be treated equally as equal partners and are people who have things to offer. And I also think that clear messaging is also important for meaningful youth engagement. Clear messaging. A lot of times when you go for this meeting with older people, what they do is they come and speak these very big and technical English and jargons that people do not understand, because young people are in a process of development. So we should make sure whenever we're engaging young people, we're using clear and transparent communication such that everyone can understand. No jargon, please. No jargon. Young people should be able to understand what is happening in a room. They should be able to be given the opportunity to give meaningful contributions, because when there is clear messaging and transparent communication, then young people can understand what is happening and they can equally give in their own feedback on issues that that concerns them. For me, as I said earlier, meaningful youth engagement is about clear messaging, is about shared power, is about access, is about diversity, and it's about inclusion. When we have all this in place, it means we have youth meaningful engagement across the globe. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Sani, for this meaningful contribution. Actually, you have posed a significant challenge to the youth. You have challenged the youth, and you've made mention of the idea of making young people or giving young people the opportunity to participate in the process. And I'm very happy with the statement you made, where you said that we young people, we are tired of being, beneficiaries. We need to take part. We need to, this create an avenue for this, shared power. And we are, tired of, being beneficiaries and what have you. So actually, this is a challenge for us, the young people. And I'm sure the audience, with what Sani said, will be able to, apprehend the concept of this meaningful engagement from his own perspective. Thank you very much, Sani, for this. Without wasting much of our time, I would like to move on to the second speaker, Joyce. Joyce, are you with me? Yes, let me try to unmute her. All right, Joyce, are you with me?
Yes, of course, I'm with you. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, sir. So Joyce, young people have specific health and developmental needs, especially access to sexual reproductive health information and services. And the World Health Organization estimates that more than 2.6 million young people aged 10 to 20 die each year, and mostly these deaths occur as a result of preventable causes. And some of the main issues affecting them are early pregnancy, HIV, violence, etc. So these risks are compounded, by external factors such as poverty, lack of access to health information and services, and unsafe environment. So with this, what are the major factors preventing youth participation in sexual and reproductive health decision making and policy and programs?
Hi, thank you very much. I'm going to start by saying for any development to happen, either for a nation or for young people, for organizations, information and knowledge is so very important. And most of the time, young people in the sexual and reproductive health spaces do not have access to information about when a policy is about to be formulated, when a policy is about to be reviewed, when a policy is about to be implemented. And without information, young people cannot get involved in decision-making processes and policy formulation of programs. So, for example, during the National Youth Policy, when the policy was being formulated, it does not involve a whole lot of adolescents. And the policy draft was only sent to only youth-led organizations that has youths who can help review the policy, what inputs they need to and what they need to withdraw in the policy. I was part of those that reviewed the National Youth Policy for Adolescent and Young People Development. And if I wasn't in Abuja at that time, I'm very sure I won't be able to participate. So I got to Abuja and I decided to go to Education as a Vaccine. And at that time, that policy was sent to them to review the documents. And I was part of that. So sometimes knowledge, information, and geographic location pose a factor for a lot of young people to not get involved in decision making. And mind you, it's not just about young people having the information and being in the location alone. There is a part of this policy stage that do not involve a lot of young people, which is the policy formulation in the first place, before review. So when the policies are being formulated, a lot of young people are not even part of the formulation. Why they need to reverse it? It's just within the ministry, they want to formulate. How many young people are actually involved in policy formulation? How many of them have the information that this policy is about to be formulated? Young people should get involved in the formulation. They don't have the information to it. And even when they do have the information to it, little or no young people are participating in policy formulation. But when it comes to youth policy implementation, they involve youth in that. And meaningful youth engagement says that young people are equal partners in policy formulation or all the processes, stages, and levels of policy and program development. So when young people are not part of formulation, you are using them for only implementation. Even sometimes in implementation, they use us as decoration. Sometimes, okay, for example, a young person can be at the seat of decision making are not able to contribute. They'll just say, oh, prepare coffee for us or send us an errand. The only essence of why they want to include young people in that is just for decoration, just to say that, oh, they're not involving young people. Because by the time we want to voice out, they are not allowing us to, they're not hearing our voice, even when we voice out. Because adults already have their own agenda and they do not really care about our own agenda. So information is very important for a lot of young people to get involved in decision-making spaces. And without information, we cannot be part of it, either from the formulation to the implementation level. Also, I'm going to talk about sociocultural norms that do not allow a lot of young people to get involved in decision-making spaces is another factor. Because despite having 1.8 billion adolescents and young people aged 10 to 24 in the world today, only 2% under the age of 30 are in decision-making spaces, from the global level to the national level to the local level. Just 2% under 30 are in decision-making spaces. And why is this? Why are they not allowing young people into these spaces? Aside from the information and knowledge, some young people still believe that they do not have the capacity or that they should allow adults to lead. They still believe that they are the leaders of future and not today. And in cases like this, where we have adults in decision-making seats, how do we question them? Because our social cultural norms say that we need to respect adults. And that's why accountability in Nigeria is so difficult, because by the time you want to ask why an adult is doing this, why you're asking questions, they won't see it as accountability anymore. They see it as disrespect. So these factors are very crucial to young people to be part of decision-making spaces in SRHR or other humanity crises that the world is facing today. Climate change decision, sexual and reproductive health decision, poverty, unemployment. We want to solve this problem. We need to make sure that young people have information to processes and stages of policy formulation and also implementation, including evaluation. Enough of the decoration of let's just include program. And that is why it's not enough to have youth program to support young people. Oh, we have a youth program that supports young people to have access to decision-making spaces and all of that. It is not enough. When we are making policy that concerns us and you're not giving us full information about it, how are we supposed to implement it? Most of the time they call young people to implement, and not even implementation that has to do with the paperwork, the implementation that has to do with the field work. I'm not against that. I'm just saying that in the first process of any programming, young people are not usually included, especially in policy formulation and program formulation. They already formulate it, then invite young people to implement. How can young people be implementing a program that does not even address their needs? That's manipulation. It is manipulation for young people to be implementing programs that they are not even involved in from the start. So in order for young people to get involved in information, they have to always give us the information. That is why there's media, that is why there's websites, that is why there's digital tools. How many youth-led organizations have or uses digital platforms to give young people access to information? It's not just giving access to how to use condom, information on how to use condom, information on how to prevent pregnancy. What about information on how to draft position paper for us to send to the government on our own? Information on how to get involved in policy formulation. Information about, oh, the national youth policy is about to be reversed. Are young people aware of this? This is all you need to know about national youth policy. Not when the policy is about to get validated, or when the policy is about to be implemented, or when the policy is about to be launched. I know about the national youth policy despite being in policy advocacy when it was about to be launched. And how many young people here was part of the national policy development or formulation? So it's not just saying, oh, we are giving access to information to adolescents and young people in Nigeria to have access to all of this information. It is not enough. If we want us to get involved in policy and decision making about our health and well-being, then you need to include us from the start. We need to know exactly when a policy needs to be formulated. If the government has a website, they have medias on our policy. It's just recently, because of a lot of campaign and advocacy around gender-based violence, that is when we are knowing about the VABACs, when it will be domesticated at the state level, at the federal level, and what policymakers are saying about that law. But what about other laws and policies that actually concern us? Do we know about it? And even if we know about it, how accessible is that information to us? We want to develop a scorecard. We are finding it difficult to get access to statistics in Nigeria because not everybody have access to the statistics. And we have to go to the Ministry of Health to get information on how to get the statistics, give us password and all that. So once we have information, if we are aware of the information, how accessible is also the information that we want in order to be part of policy development. It's when I have access to information, I'll be able to say, I want to write a recommendation. This needs to be included in the policy formulation. This needs to be removed. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Joyce. Thank you so much. Hello?
Hello, yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, this is a very, interesting, comments by you. And actually, I was so happy with the way you, included the issue of, engagement of youth, in policy making and full participation. It's not just to, for the adults or other people to create laws and policies, that directly affects a huge, number of population, which are youth, and there is no inclusion of these youths. And particularly in this country, a lot of things are taking place. You understand, all these, government position, all these, technical and other, administrative aspects, of leadership and what have you, legislation and what have you, youth participation is very, low. And actually, when you see youth in implementing, implementation aspect, and even in the implementation aspect, they are being used, they are being subjected to, all these, OSHAs and what have you. So actually, what I, want to chip in here is actually there is no way that policies would be made to youths and for youths without the inclusion of youths, because youths are being affected, they are facing a lot of challenges. And you cannot just simply, sit down, create laws and policies without meaningfully engaging youths in reviewing and creating these policies, because it directly affects us. We cannot just sit down and be waiting for a time that they will say youths are the leaders of tomorrow. We are leaders at our own, sphere. So thank you very much, Joyce, for this. And next, I'm going to move to the next participant, which is Fatima. And I would like to pose this question to her. Fatima, are you with me? Hello, Fatima, you can unmute your microphone. All right, Fatima, are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you.
All right, thank you, Fatima. Fatima, youths have been making, enormous contribution to the improvement of life on the planet Earth, and there's hardly, any function, be it social, cultural, economic, developmental, and what have you, where youths not, played part. But though one can fairly say that attempts by youth and young groups at participating in national development have been graded by barriers that come, in varied forms, which inhibit them from participating in such. So what do you consider as such barriers from your own, point of view?
Okay, thank you. The number one barrier, or let me say the number one challenge that stops youth from making contributions or participation is lack of access to quality education and training. Providing qualitative education to Nigerian youth has been poor and many obstacles remain, talking about majority. Even though we have free schools, low quality and education remain expensive for some households because of non-tuition costs such as uniform, books, transportation, and so on. So as a result, many of the current youth cohorts were unable to complete a basic education, which is considered the minimum level required to function in a society. And in addition to that, formal education and non-formal education are also at that barrier. Sorry, non-formal education is also at that barrier. And also, here in Nigeria, high rates of dropout. Sorry, can you hear me? Muhammad, can you hear me?
Go ahead, Fatima, you have the floor.
Okay, sorry. Here in Nigeria, we have a high rate of dropouts amongst young people from different institutions of learning. Some never attended school at all. So these youth end up in urban centers in search of menial jobs. Others end up on the streets. You see them in highway junctions, sorting different items. Worse still, those who succeed in going through their schooling have very slim perspective of a job, not to mention a good pay jobs. And secondly, another challenge is youth have limited roles in data collection, information, and research on issues related to them. Just like Joyce emphasized, young people should be involved as active partners, not only when information products are designed and when information is collected, but also in defining the theme of the information collection, translating material for the target group, and producing and distributing material based on the research. So participation of the target group in information collection guarantees that the product answers their expectations and needs. But such involvement is largely missing from participatory approaches. Today, youth have limited access to information, and where it is available, it is often neither youth-friendly nor current, or young people are usually forced to make up information products that have been conceived and developed by adults who employ sophisticated methods of working. And so young people's involvement in research is usually limited to data collection rather than analysis, write-up, or action based on the findings. And so another point we have is the HIV/AIDS. HIV/AIDS is also another barrier. So there is a strong interrelationship between HIV/AIDS and economic development, and poverty is also a contributing factor to that. So increasing evidence demonstrates that poverty contributes significantly to the spread of HIV/AIDS. This occurs in the number of ways, including through lack of educational opportunities, also lack of health services, lack of viable employment opportunities, and also some sense of hopeless and fatalism that youth are facing. And HIV and AIDS pandemic pose another major challenge for young people today. It is estimated that about 7,000 people, young people are infected with HIV every day, and this pandemic is changing youth perception of themselves and expectations about their future. Many feel hopeless and fatalistic, seeing that HIV and AIDS and other diseases pandemic as beyond their power to change and prevent. So this may lead them to live for the present with less attention or given for preparing for what we see uncertain. And also stigma and discrimination deter young people from making meaningful contributions to the national development and so on. So another point I want to talk about is the actions not always taken in youth best interest by adults. So action detrimental to the well-being of young people occur only through deliberate abuse or neglect. So adults across the professional spectrum have been responsible for decisions, policies, and actions that have not been appropriate and sometimes actively harmful to young people. Even when the underlying intention has been to promote the welfare of young people, these actions are characterized by a consistent failure to appropriately consult or involve young people themselves. And for example, let's say in some cases, you will see that young people are placed in large institutions and then they are given insufficient attention to their emotional and psychological being, just like in our schools and so on. So there is a growing recognition that young people are more harmed than helped by these practices, which have all been, in many instances, continue to be justified by adults. While the views of young people themselves have gone unheard, if young people are not involved in the development of the laws, policies, and programs that affect them, even well-intentioned actions on the part of the adult will often fail to protect their best interests. And another devastating issue is the issue of discrimination. So, okay. So another issue is the issue of discrimination. So girls and young women face systemic discrimination within a rich power relations to that perpetuate on almost everywhere in the world. So there's this universal subordinations of females, or let me say women and girls, and gender norms and bias in educational and economic policies and structures limit the social, the economical, the political contributions of girls and young women. They are left vulnerable to physical, sexual, and psychological harm, seriously curtailing their volition to involve in socio-economic endeavors and the national development. And the last point I want to talk about here is that another issue is the issue of youth interest, often regarded in public policy. Young people's interests are frequently overlooked in the public policy sphere in favor of those of more powerful group, or let me say powerful interest groups. And it is not necessarily that the case has a welfare of youth. No, but because their voices are not heard and the impact of public policy on their lives is discussed in decision-making forums rather than political agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fatima. Thank you so much. Actually, we are at enough. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for sharing this. You can, easily, have a sip of water, as I can see. All right. So before we proceed to now we are over, or we are through with the second segment of the, discussion. Thank you very much, Fatima. Thank you. Hello, Fatima. Thank you. Fatima, hello. All right. All right. So we are going to, before actually going to the third segment, I would like, the participation of the audience. As I communicated earlier in the chat, if you have any question to ask the participant, either, specific question to the speakers, or general question to all the three speakers, you can kindly raise up your hand. Actually, I have with me here Baba participants here, Baba Shehu Saidu. I would like to give you the opportunity to briefly, ask your question.
Okay, all right. I would like to thank all the panelists, the co-host, and audience for having. Like this, we've been talking about policy making and policy implementation, the ways, strategies, and in different programs and developments. So my question is, okay, now, since it seems all that the speakers have said, it seems to be ineffective. So what other alternative do we think we can have to, tackle such a problem? I mean, what other alternative approach can we use to be involved in this policy making and not only policy implementation? Because as Joyce said earlier, she said youths are only involved as decorators when it comes to policy making, but they are being used in policy implementation. So now, what other alternative approaches do we have that we can be able to put us through? Because seriously speaking, uninvolving youths in policy making and implementation is becoming alarming. So what other ways do we think we can be able to chip in, we can be able to brainstorm, we can be able to, go through, penetrate? Because seriously speaking, differentiating between accountability and disrespect, as Joyce said, is a serious problem. Because when you are trying to hold someone accountable, it will be misconceived for disrespect. So there's need for these panelists, any of them, any of the three, please, to shed more light on possible alternative approach. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much, Babashu Saidu, for this question. And I would like one of the speakers to respond to this question. Yes, he has categorically said that there are some movements or some efforts by the youth to participate in this issue of policy making and what have you. But he think like the methods they are using is not that much effective. So he's asking what are the other alternatives that youths can use other than the ones they have been using now to get access to policy spaces and what have you.
Hello, can I answer that?
Yes. Okay.
Do you find my voice echoing?
Hello?
Hello?
Who am I speaking to?
This is Joyce.
Okay, yes, just you can respond. Yeah.
Oh, do you find my voice echoing?
Absolutely.
I'm trying to change that.
Okay, now you can continue. You can continue.
Okay, is it better?
Hello? Yeah, you can.
Okay, so in my response to that, I'm just going to say that there's a quote from someone, I don't know who that person is, but I've always had that quote in mind. It says, power is not given, it is taken. So it means that if young people truly want their power, they need to stand up and take it. So if we do not have access to information, the adults are, when we're asking for accountability, they think we are being disrespectful. Let's do that. Let's do that with courage. Let's do that. Let's keep being, let's hold them accountable for exactly what we want. And also, we cannot keep depending on adults to give us capacity building and capacity strengthening. We as young people have a lot to do. And I'm so glad that a lot of us are working out on this. We keep building our capacity
we keep using our social media to raise awareness and connect with other young people who are doing exactly what we do. So let's just keep doing capacity building for each other. We have young people for ourselves. If adults have said, oh, they are not ready to support us, let's support each other. If my friend has an organization, let him or her invite me to train other young people in a state or in a state. So the moment we as young people recognize that we are all we are, then is a big step to having power. I don't know, my voice keep echoing. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Joyce.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you. Just continue.
Okay, so because of enabling environment as well, okay, so young people want to strive and want to do a lot of things for ourselves, but there's not an enabling environment, no safe space, no flexibility. We need to create that system for ourselves. So the power is not being given to us. Let's just take it, or we just create our own. There's this quote I used for myself, and that is, if they don't give you a seat at the table, build your own chair and take your own seat along. And if you find an empty seat, sit down at the table. And if there's not an empty seat and there's no space for you to take your sit on the table itself. So we need to, that way we hold government accountable, we hold adults accountable. Exactly what are they doing for us? We've been talking about poverty, we've been talking about unemployment, and still we keep waiting for the government and nothing is being done. Little or nothing is being done. Or let me just say, the things that are being done do not literally meet our needs. So it means because they don't involve us in policy formulation, the policy does not even meet our own need. So they're not giving us a seat. Let's bring our own share and sit at the table. If anyone meet anybody, if any seat's empty, sit down at the empty seat. If there's no space at all, sit on the table. Because that is exactly what I did. At the National Youth Policy launch when they're about to launch the policy in Akure, they gave invitations to just few organizations. They all came from Abuja, Bayelsa, Lagos. And me as a young person, I do not even have access to any invitation, despite being part of a youth-led organization in Akure. And what did I do? Immediately I know that education as vaccine is coming in, I just sent a message to the person representing Madam Buki. Can I join you as your handbag? Let me just enter this event. Let me just be part of this event. If they are not in a national youth policy event and I'm not there as a young person, I don't know what I'm doing. And education as a vaccine as a youth-led organization, I'm a youth-focused organization. The representatives say, oh, Joyce, of course, when I'm around, I'll let you know. You can follow me, just meet me at the venue. And that's how I got into the national policy launch. And when I looked around, people under the age of 30 that are not corpers are just 2 people, which is me and one other young person. The other people are above 30. Anita, I remember, yes, maybe I think it's Anita. Anita is the second person, and Elvis as the third person, are people below age 30 that are part of that policy launch. Every other person are 30 plus. And for me, as 19-year-old, at that time I was 19, I do not have invitation at all, and I was part of a youth-led organization at that time. And I saw them and I asked them, I'm a young person in your organization and you got an invitation for a national youth policy. You, as the executive director, you are above 30 and you could not invite just one person in your organization to be part of this event. And that is how I left the organization. And I'm part of an organization who truly wants young people to strive. So if you see any organization using you as decoration, manipulation, you should leave and join organizations that are willing to support you and make you strive. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Actually, thank you so much, Joyce. Interesting, and actually, we are learning a lot from your experience. I have to stop you here due to time factor. We want to wrap everything up and meet to the expectation of our time. Actually, thank you very much for this answer. And lastly, we are coming to the last segment of this discussion, which is the thought segment. And this is a question that I would like all the speakers to, give an answer, or to, give an, a little, discussion, or, with regards to the question, because we are actually running out of time. So I would like to post the question, and I would like to start with Sani. Hello, Sani.
Yes, I'm here with you.
All right, sir. Okay, so from what we had, and we have had a lot, and from what we had, we have learned a lot from this actual discussion. So how can we achieve a meaningful youth participation in Nigeria, despite all what we stated, like in a very short form? How can we achieve it? This is like a take-home message for the audience.
Yeah, I think very importantly, all the speakers have outlined how we can achieve youth meaningful engagement. And as Joy said, if we are not given a seat at the table, look for an empty chair there and sit down. If there are no seats, sit on that table. Because meaningful youth engagement, it requires acute attention to power. We need to focus on how to take power, and that is the only way we could actually achieve meaningful youth engagement. We need to increase our efforts to quality and the quantity of meaningful youth engagement opportunities for young people, which means that we must pay attention to power and focus on those who are in power, why they are in power, and understand how power gets used, understand how power gets negotiated and reinforced in both overt and subtle ways. Because these are the systems that keep young people out. These are the systems that have continued to marginalize vulnerable people like young people, right? And we must be intentional about how we want to shift power, right? We must be willing and open to negotiate. We must be willing and ready to disrupt and dismantle power structures that exclude young people in general, especially certain group of young people in particular, from the ability to impact decisions being made about them, their lives and their futures. So whether they are marginalized group, whether you can imagine that a national youth policy is being a dialogue on national youth policy is being made, and only about 3 people are young people less than 30 years of age. I would just give a very brief story of how we could actually take power, just like what happened with the Not Young to Run. When the Not Young to Run, I was in Abuja then, and Hamzi and the others were having a meeting with the Senate, with the then Senate president. When the Senate guys went to Abuja for their what do they call this thing? They will go and sit in a hotel for their I'm forgetting what they call it. So they go there, have this kind of party or something, and it is that process that they discuss all the policy plan, the bills that they're going to read in the floor of the house, what is going to go through, what is going to scale through. Once Not Young to Run understood that these people did not read a dialogue on their bill during that session, they decided to do a Hall of Fame and Hall of Shame for the House, for all the State House of Assembly that did not pass that bill, and for all the House members that voted against the Not Young to Run or the age reduction bill coming into this thing. So there's an intention. At that time, young people were conscious, and there was an intention to change the age structure for us to be able to participate in political participation. So negotiating power or disrupting power or dismantling power structure that excludes young people means we must be willing to be disrespectful, if that is what accountability means. We must be willing to be disrespectful if that is what accountability means. If asking the right questions to power is our accountability, we cannot afford to sacrifice honesty and truth for corruption, right? Because if we allow all these things to happen, then those people who are truthful, those people who speak to power, we think they are doing us a sacrifice. Meanwhile, it is not supposed to be a sacrifice. Truth, honesty, inclusion should not be things that are seen as sacrificial. They are things that should be seen as basic human rights. So as I said earlier, for young people to be able to be meaningfully engaged, it must be inclusive. It means we must be included at all stages of development. When we were planning this program with UNFPA and EVA, one of the UNFPA, Grace, took lead on organizing this virtual session. Another UNFPA youth suggested the speakers that they should be on this particular. So it was all planned, designed, organized by young people. This is what we are saying. Young people should be able to sit down and organize for issues that concerns them. When I was trained by the Population Reference Bureau, I was not taken as, like ordinarily, how Nigerians organizations would have treated me would have been very bad. And if not because I've been engaged with Population Reference Bureau for some time as a fellow and as a consultant and youth leader on their programs, and they've been able to build my capacity to understand that I'm an equal partner as they are. Some partnership with some organizations would have been very toxic for me, because some organizations will come and they are trying to partner with young people, where young people do most of the rigorous field work and experiences, writing reports with no break and everything, and they try to feel like they are doing you a favor. They try to make you seem like you're a beneficiary. Meanwhile, you are an expert in your own right. So we need to be more inclusive of young people. We need to open up the space. There need to be diverse representation of young people, especially those from marginalized communities. There need to be access. As Joyce said, access to accurate information and training is very important for young people. Don't just call us to give us donuts and free transport and use bogus jargons for us. Let us be part of the process. Teach us how to understand technical terms. Teach us how to be part of the policy making process from the beginning. Don't just call us to launch the policy. Don't just call us to sit down and take coffee. Let us be part of the process from the beginning so that our voices can be heard. We have a youth, a minister of youth that is old, that is not a youth. What is happening? So we must be able to get shared power. We must be able to negotiate power. And when it's not given to us, we must be able to mobilize and disrupt it until we are being listened to. And that is what I have to say.
Thank you so very much, Sani, for this. Actually, I'm going to move directly to Fatima. Fatima, what can you say with regards to this? How can we achieve a meaningful youth participation in Nigeria? Hello, Fatima, are you with me? Hello, Fatima.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Fatima. I said we have had a lot from Sani and Joyce. From Sani, yes. How can we achieve a meaningful youth participation in Nigeria? Just to wrap it up.
So the value of youth participation in nation building needs to be fully recognized at all levels in the first place, ranging from the local community to the international arena. So even in those countries that have achieved the most, you will see that the youth participation remains piecemeal and insufficiently integrated into areas of young people's life. So you'll see many initiatives may be limited to seeking the views of young people, just like Sani mentioned earlier. So the involvement in decision making is really it's poor, and then you see so many young people remain marginal to most of our political, or let me say democratic processes. So, and also the demographic picture of youth make it patently evident that engaging youth fully in development into a matter of choice, but rather an imperative for national development. So young people constitute a significant population, yes, like almost half of the population are youth, young people now. So it should be recognized that despite the challenges associated with youth involvement, like inadequate access to education, like gender norms issues, the young people today are more geographically mobile, and I can say that they are more technologically connected than any other generation. And the young people of today are on average better and more educated than their parents. So this shows that they have better connected to the rest of the world. And then this also determined that they have the options to close the gap between their limited opportunities and what they perceive to be the how will I put it, to be the possible for a better global economy. So failure to provide opportunities for youth to build their capacity and to participate in development will be a missed opportunity to harness the huge potential in human capital, and this could have an enormous economic, cultural, political, social, and also psychological consequences. So effort must therefore be made to listen to youth and engage them in the processes of strengthening participatory processes, and also the progress made to date in promoting the participations of young people should be sustained and enhanced, and should provide the framework for decision and actions that affect the daily lives of young people, including children as well. So only then, when these approaches are at the right place, that youth will begin to evolve, and the oft-stated commitment of the participation begins to have a meaning. And also this thing, and also another, the approach must promote, you know, the approach and the participation must promote respect for them as social actors, as agents of their own lives and the citizens of their own localities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fatima. Joyce, are you with me? Hello, Joyce, are you with me? Okay, thank you very much, Fatima, Sani, and Joyce, for sharing this. We are coming to the end of the program. Before we end this, I have two audience that have raised their hands and are willing to ask questions. So we are going to, entertain these questions from them. Starting from Tawfiq. I will now unmute him and we'll look forward for his question. All right, Tawfiq, are you with me?
Of course, I'm with you. Can you hear me, please?
All right. Hello, are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you. You can go forward with your question.
All right, and though mine is not a question again, I think Sunny and Joyce have actually talked about that, but I would like to add something to that, please. And what I want to add to, because when we look into the societal setting, or we'll talk about the political setting of Nigeria due to our diversity in culture and then the way we run the government. I mean, the only place they regard the youth as we can have a voice that will be heard or will be laudable is getting involved in the political structure of the country. But due to the pervasive corruption that has actually, or that is eroding the trust in civic engagement, it's somehow hard for youth to get involved. And then that's why most of the organization, or let me call it political institution, has actually seeing youth as only career of a policy, careers of policy alone, not getting involved in the policy formulation. And according to what Joyce actually said, no, power is transit, and then to get power, I know it's not really their fault because what they are doing. It's our fault because we are not ready to voice out against them. I don't think it's something that we can actually achieve by being soft or by not willing to take it by fire by force. Permit me to use that word. I think by now, no organization, no institution. Nigeria per se, no institution is ready to relinquish power to young, due to considering what is actually obtainable in the societal setting. So youth must be ready. Young people must be ready to take this thing, whatever means available to take it. So thank you very much. Hello. Hello.
Uh,
Hello.
Thank you so much, Tofik. I can hear. All right, thank you very much. Actually, before we wrap it up, we are going to stop exactly by 2 p.m. and we are going to hear the contribution of the third speaker, who is Joyce. Initially, I couldn't access her, but she's currently on. So, Joyce, what can you say, to wrap it up on how can we achieve a meaningful participation? So, after her comments, we also, entertain the other question from Connie Wendy Baka. And if there's no any other question, we'll look for a way to, close for the discussion today. Okay, Joyce, you can carry on.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. Everything has been said, and I don't know what else to say again. But I just want everybody, as young people, to always take responsibility and always pay attention to what is happening in our environment. Because since we do not have access to all of the information that we want to have access to, then let's look for those information ourselves. Now, we want to develop a scorecard, and having access to the statistics and the data we want to use is difficult. Most of us are not even present in Abuja, but we have a young person who is present in Abuja that will go to the Ministry of Health for us, their monitoring and evaluation department. So we have to collaborate. That is collaboration. So in order for our participation to be meaningful, it's not just by holding government accountable. We also need to hold ourselves accountable as young people. Are we really collaborating, networking, and taking responsibility of what we actually need to do? So if adults are not doing this for us, we must do this ourselves, and we are all we have. So we need to actually collaborate and help each other to get into the space we need to get into. If a young person needs access to information or needs to get a draft of a policy that he or she does not have access to in a state, and you're in Abuja at the national level where you can have access to it, to reduce cost of transport, let that young person help you out. And the whole essence of all this is we are driving towards one goal, for all of us to take charge of the power that concerns us, especially to be at the decision making where we make decisions, we make policies and programs that works for us. And that is what the YSM has been doing. And I really appreciate that from the program formulation to the implementation of this event was drafted by young people. It's really amazing. So if we can just do this without the help of any adults, I believe we can do just more and more and more. I'm going to leave other comments for other young people who want to talk. I would like to also hear from them before the time runs out. I really appreciate everyone for attending this event. Happy International Youth Day once again. Thank you so much.
All right. So much, Joyce, for this. Actually, we received the question from Connie Wendy Baka, and after our question, we'll hear from our audience, their view with regards to the, subject matter. Connie, are you with me? Hello, Connie, are you with me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You can proceed.
Okay, thank you so much to our speakers. I mean, it's been fire. I've been so interested in this conversation, especially that we're not trying to be politically correct and we're just speaking facts and truth. Recently I read something from NSRP. There was a survey they did and they said 79% of youth agreed that most of the opportunities, I understand that we kept on saying that, oh, youth have to be involved, youth have to be this and that, but they realized that 79% of the young people who are involved in some of these programs or policies and all of that were close to politicians or close to somebody in the helm of that program. So that leaves other people who don't have anybody there in, they just leave them stranded. So what my question basically is, especially to Sani, let me throw it to Sani. What mode of operation do you think we as young people need to carry out, like to take the powers back into our hands? We understand how our political structure is very, very flawed. We understand that right now it's like against, there's a division, and it seems that they're creating that division within us young people. You can see sometimes in social media, there's a lot of hate among young people, especially either tribe or religion, one thing or the other, or even those who are supposed to be, let's say for instance, those from the National Youth Parliament, you know, when you go to, or you listen to them, you're like, you're not saying the truth. And you're the person closest to these people in power. You're not speaking mostly for what the young people want. So basically, how can we, what mode of operation can we really, really carry out? Let's say we in the middle class, or those, and come with those in the lower class, put everything aside and say, you know what, let's drive this, especially we as educated people, so that when people who are less educated, young people like us too, who are less educated, they can see the vehicle we're going and the destination, and they say, oh, you know what, we want to join these people, because they understand that this is a different mode from what they're used to, and it's also something very, very truthful. So that's basically my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Connie, for your question. I think it's very important that as young people, we understand the power in our numbers. We understand the power of collaboration and effective networking among ourselves. I mean, Joyce have said all the shared values that we have. I think for us to be able to take power and shift this power and focus and attention to young people, we need to use data. And because the politicians and the people in power currently understand that accessing this information gives us the leverage to be able to take action and mobilize ourselves, they try to hide the data for us. But then guess what? We can always create evidence for us. What is our evidence? Going to talk to young people who these issues affect, document their voices, and put it out there and mobilize young people around that particular issue. I'll give you an example. So when I was a copper, I saw this girl, I went to this school where there were only 5 girls in the whole of the school. Only 5 girls. And I was curious, and I started to ask questions, what was happening? And I was told these girls are being married out as children. What? I couldn't believe child marriage was that pervasive in northern Nigeria, even though I grew up in northern Nigeria. I did not wait for any policymaker to come and say this, to come and make noise. It was a cultural problem, and it was a problem that the policymakers themselves were not willing to address. What did I do? I took my smartphone, and I was fortunate to have been trained on how to use smartphone by the Population Reference Bureau Youth Multimedia Campaigns team. We were trained on how to use smartphone to amplify people's voices, and that was it. I just set up a team. We simply started going to communities in Kano, and we started talking to children who were married as girls who were married out as children. They started sharing their experiences, and we started putting these stories out there, and young people started organizing around this particular issue. Before we knew what was happening, between August that we started to December, child marriage became a big issue that hitherto was not usually discussed as it should be within the northern Nigeria cyberspace. And as people started having those conversations, we started saying, no, it is not going to stop our conversations. We're going to make sure that this state governor signed the Child Rights Act, in some state called the Child Protection Bill. And for some states, we are working on getting the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Bill signed. And we are making sure we are putting these issues in front of the policymakers and ensuring that we educate young people to be able to support these issues. Because a lot of times these issues are cultural, and young people who just back out, think not wanting to be disrespectful. And that's why I said, for you to really succeed within the space as a young person, you need to get your table for yourself. And if it means for people to tag you as being disrespectful, so be it. Right? We did a campaign. Hamza, if you know Follow the Money. Follow the Money uses data and multimedia to amplify the work they do. In 2015, Hamza and his team were following up with the $5.4 billion Naira project that was earmarked by the Minister of Environment to give gas to rural women. And it was perplexing, because when Hamza and his team started going, Follow the Money started going to rural communities, they were asking, is it gas that rural women want? One man said, no, they don't want gas. So Follow the Money went to meet the contractors, wrote FOI letters, and said, give us information on the number of gases you want to give to these men. This is what these women are saying, they don't want gas. When they went to the velodrome, where all the gas, they said they bought 100,000 cylinder of gas and they kept it in a warehouse in the velodrome. When Hamza and his team went there, they refused them entrance. But you know what? Young people are creative. What Hamza did was they mobilized his team. They went to rent an SUV. Some of them, one of them wore Babariga, this big agbada. Then a few of them dressed like SSS with suit and dark specs. And they came back to that velodrome, where they said they allegedly bought 100,000 cylinders. And immediately they came there, the security men simply jumped out. Ogasa, welcome, sir. You know how the Nigerian mentality works. Immediately they saw them in Babariga and with people that looks like DSS and security people, then saw like a big man. And they were like, we really have a very big business coming in now. We're looking for a big warehouse to buy and store our product, blah, blah. They said they have the kind of warehouse. And you know, in Nigeria, if you're a big man, you can do anything. So he said he would like to see the warehouse. And they went to the warehouse. And he said he would like to take pictures and videos of the warehouse so that he will share with his board members so that they can decide if they really want to invest in this particular company. And as a big man, you can do anything. They took videos. And those videos were they used as evidence against the government, such that the government had to drop that scam contract of 5.4 billion naira. So young people are creative. We must continue to think outside the box about how to engage and how to bring the table to ourselves. These people will not give us power if we don't look for creative ways of getting power. And technology has made that easier. So let's use digital technology to continue to mobilize people and coalesce ourselves around social issues that we all care about. And I'm very sure that somehow, sometime, we'll get to where we want to be. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Sani. Actually, we have had a lot, and now the ball is in our court. So all the audience, we have had a lot from Sani, Joyce, and Fatima. And actually, what they told us was so inspirational, and we need to learn from what they tell us. And actually, they share a lot of experiences, of which was mind-blowing. So the ball is in our court. If we need change, if we need youth participation, then we need to stand up and act. Enough is enough. We need to stand up and act. So actually, we are going to be closing by 3:50. Actually, initially it was 4 p.m. But actually, due to some certain issues, we are going to stop by 3:50 p.m. And actually, we are able to cover all our agenda. And indeed, this discussion was so marvelous and actually very interesting. So firstly, I'll start by thanking United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, for supporting us and for helping us to see this program as a reality. And I'll also thank Education as a Vaccine. Eva, we are so happy. We are so happy for this opportunity. And actually, words cannot explain, our appreciation to Education as a Vaccine. They have been mentoring us, they have been tutoring us, they have been carrying us along, they have been building our capacity as young people. We thank you, Education as Vaccine. And I also like to thank our speakers, Sani Mohammed. Thank you very much for your time and for sharing such huge, meaningful information. Thank you so much, Joyce, for your time and for sharing, this information with us. I would also like to thank Fatima for your time and information. And I would also like to thank all the audience, the participants who have participated from beginning to the end of this program. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Joyce.
Thank you
Hello,
so
Joyce.
much. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you too. All right, thank you so much, Sani.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Fatima. Fatima, hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, Fatima. Thank you so much for your time and information.
You're welcome, and thank you too.
All right. So in the absence of any other question, we are going to stop here. The meeting is going to, stop by 3:50 p.m. So thank you very much, and thank you very much. A very big thank you to all of you who attended this discussion. Thank you very much.